I need a mechanic to explain to me why they would do this to my car.
Okay, let's dive into this and let's break some things down. And first of all, I sympathize what you're going through. It can be kind of confusing sometimes whenever you drop your car off at a shop and you don't know what to expect. The first thing I'd like to point out is when a vehicle gets towed into a shop, it's always nice to have a face-to-face with the customer or actually get on the phone and have a really deep conversation about what's expected, what you want done. And if you don't want an inspection and stuff done, you need to clearly state up front, I don't want an inspection. I don't need an inspection. I don't want an inspection. Typically what's going to end up happening is they're going to do their own in-house inspection anyway, just for safety reasons, to cover their ass. Why is that? If your vehicle comes in and they don't inspect it and they didn't see something that they should have seen, and that vehicle ends up out on a public roadway and it somehow has a malfunction that ends up hurting you or somebody else, taking somebody's life, causing an accident of some sort, you can actually take that shop to court and sue them for not doing their job. And that job is at least at minimum a safety inspection when that vehicle comes in. There was an incident. I had a friend, he was at a shop and he was asked to do XYZ on a car, and when he did XYZ on a car, he did the timing change, the guides, everything like that. That's what the customer asked to be done. So that's what he did. It was like a $1,500-$1,600 job. He did the guides, the water pump, the timing chain, the full kit that the customer had asked for. But he had also talked to the customer and notified them this engine doesn't sound healthy at all. It does not sound healthy. Sounds like you have some type of bearing failure or something going on inside this engine. That sound you're hearing is not the timing chains. It happened to be just upon the interval the timing chains need to be changed, but there was also something else going on with the engine. You can see the little sparkles in the oil on the dipstick, and he had made that very clear to the customer that this is not just going to be a timing chain job and a timing chain guide job, water pump job, because they're all in the same area and they need to be replaced at the same time. You're probably going to end up needing an engine. There's bearing material, or we see some kind of metal sparkling material in the oil, and the customer was like, I don't want any of that done. Just do the timing chain, the guides, and the water pump like I asked. So he did. What ended up happening is that vehicle went to, actually the engine went out on it. The customer had to pay for it. They went through another shop. They spent almost $5,000 on replacing that engine in that vehicle. And that customer turned around and took my buddy that was the owner of this like gas station mechanic shop to court, and the judge told him, you're the professional, the customer's not. You should have made it your judgment to tell that customer this timing chain and guide thing is not going to fix this problem, and I refuse to do this job moving forward because there's other things going on here, and if I open this up it could potentially make it worse. Or you could come back after me and say you're the reason why my engine failed, when it wasn't my fault at all. The engine's literally on its last leg. It was your choice to go into that engine. It was your choice to follow the customer's recommendation. I'm finding in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000 some odd dollars, and made him pay for that new engine because he chose the customer's decision to have XYZ done instead of his own professional judgment and declining the job or pushing to have that engine replaced or diagnosed even further. So when you call up a shop and you tell a shop, my battery's this, and I want you to check this, and I want you to do this, and if this doesn't work out, then move forward with whatever else. You're telling them how to do their job. Shouldn't be up to you to tell them how to do their job. First of all, don't ever do that to a shop. Say, hey, my battery's died, I replaced it a year ago, I don't know what's wrong with the charging system, just check it out. You don't dictate to them the process in which you want them to move forward. And that's kind of what you're telling me in this video. Oh, we told them to start with a battery, and if it's not the battery, then move. You don't do that. You just tell them, hey, look, my battery died. I replaced it a year ago. I don't know why it died. Can you check out the car for me and tell me what's going on with my electrical system, my charging system? And you'll let them do their job. You don't tell them how to do their job. Again, go back to the inspection. We're going to go in pretty deep here. There are different types of inspections. There are just general once-over inspections where I go through and I check the brakes, the tires. Are there any oil leaks? Do I see any cracks in the windshield? Do I see any cracks in the lights? Are all the lights working? The safety stuff working? That's just a basic inspection where I go from front, and that's to cover my ass if that vehicle goes back out on the road and something happens to somebody else. And then we have what's called, that would be kind of like a safety inspection. Just a general safety inspection check over the vehicle is what that would be. Then there's a full inspection, which means I'm checking fluids, I'm checking everything in the vehicle while I'm there, just so I can notify you, especially a vehicle with higher mileage, what's kind of going on with it, what I see going on with it, so I can check in with you on the state of health of that vehicle. And then there's an inspection of individual components. So they'll do a once over on the vehicle, and they'll tell you, yeah, your brakes are kind of low, you're coming up on this, you should be kind of looking to change your brakes here in the next 6 months or 20,000 miles. Wiper blades are starting to streak, unsafe conditions being out on the road. Yes. Do these items help them upsell jobs that need to be done? Yes. Most of the time, it's for good reason that they're doing this, because it's very important that this be done. The $120 that you spent on the inspection and technician's time part was because that technician wasn't just doing a diagnosis on your charging system. He was actually told that there's other things that need to be done by the shop as a precautionary. You were paying for the diagnosis of the charging system, pulling the battery out, sticking the battery on a VAT system, testing it out. Okay, it's bad, putting a new battery in, testing the charging system. Okay, the charging system's working, it's healthy. And then that inspection is typically complimentary, and they use that as an upsell tool. But it's not as an upsell tool to lie to you. It's an upsell tool for you to actually see whatever else is wrong with your vehicle, and it helps them cover their ass in case anything happens when you leave that shop. And it keeps you coming back as a loyal customer, because you're like, man, they did a thorough inspection. They checked my blades, they checked my tires, they checked my brakes, they checked my oil level. It doesn't matter if that oil was already done or not. They're going to pull the dipstick just to make sure that it's full, make sure it doesn't smell of like excessive amount of fuel and stuff like that. There's reasons why they do this stuff. So you as the customer think that you're getting duped by them doing a full inspection and a battery or charging system diagnosis, and you're getting charged $120 for it? I wouldn't complain. I would say thank you with a smile on my face, and I appreciate you getting me back on the road, because what you paid $400 and some for a battery and a diagnosis of a charging system, plus a full-blown inspection with tires off so they could see the brakes and everything else, I would be thanking them for doing that rather than being upset that they did something that you didn't ask them to do. Remember, you don't dictate how the shop works on your vehicle. They have their own policies on how they do XYZ. Just because your dad calls them up and says, here, this is what I want you to do, or you call them up and say, this is what I want you to do, doesn't mean that they are obligated to do what you say to do. Remember, in a court of law, they're always going to side with the customer versus the shop owner. And if there's a guy on here that can explain this very, very, very well, and his name is Lucas Underwood, he's part of the ASTA, ASTE, you do not do what the customer says to do just because they say to do it. You do what's in the best interest of the shop to cover them for safety reasons and customer safety reasons. You listen to their concerns and you address it accordingly, but you don't do what they exactly tell you to do whenever it comes down to, oh, I just want you to check the battery first, and then I want you to move forward if it's not the battery. It doesn't work that way. You bring me the vehicle, you tell me what your issue is, and I diagnose it. You don't tell me how to do my job. Your father doesn't tell me how to do my job. We have protocols that we have to follow, and if you don't like that, unfortunately, you're going to have to find another shop that's going to do things the wrong way, the unsafe way, to make you happy. That $120 was nothing. At my shop, you would have paid $195 for diagnosis. It would have been a 1-hour diagnosis. You wouldn't have paid for the inspection. You would have paid about $250 to $300 for a battery, depending on the quality of the battery. And that would have been $450, $500. And you still would have got an inspection for safety reasons with an with a itemized list of what's wrong, what's good, what's important to do now, what's not important to do now, how much time you have left. And it's a way for us to cover our ass for safety reasons. And then you sign the bottom of that repair order or the bottom of that job saying that you declined XYZ. So we're not on the hook when you leave that shop for stuff that's wrong with that vehicle, and you acknowledge the fact that we told you stuff was wrong with that vehicle, and it doesn't come back on us. There's a protocol and a procedure for everything, and it's not the way the customer wants it to go. It's the way the shop needs to operate their business. And that's with all due respect.